Chapter 977. Whoa. Su Yiyen rubbed her chin and pretended to be deep in thought. Under Hu Chenhuan's intense gaze, she said quietly, I like handsome and rich men who love me more than anything else. They put me first in everything. They will give me a small garden, an island, and a villa. When I am tired from walking, they will carry me on their back. When I am sad, they will try their best to make me happy. When I am scared, they will hug and comfort me. As long as it is related to me, it is no small matter in his eyes. Oh, by the way. Su Yiyen looked up with a smile when she said this. This person must have the surname Hua and be the father of my child. The more Hu Chenhuan listened, the more he felt that something was wrong. By the end, the tips of his ears had uncontrollably turned red. How could he not tell that Su Yiyen was coaxing him? Su Yiyen saw the change in his expression. She rolled her eyes and asked knowingly, Are you not angry anymore? Hu Chenhuan glanced at her meaningfully but did not say anything. Su Yiyen stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the cheek. How about this? Only then did Hu Chenhuan reluctantly reply. Yes. Su Yiyen was angry and amused at the same time. She did not expose Hu Xiaoheng's secret happiness. She also did not ask Hu Chenhuan why he did not take the initiative to chase all the men who wanted to get close to her, including Hu Xiaofeng, out of her safe zone since he had already seen through Hu Xiaofeng's feelings for her so long ago and was even jealous. She could not ask. The only thing she could ask was that at that time, his leg did not allow him to bravely pursue her like all the other healthy men. He could only secretly suppress his jealousy and suffer internal injuries. Su Yiyen's heart ached for Hu Chenhuan, but she was still very angry. She was not angry at Hu Chenhuan, but at the people who had caused Hu Chenhuan's tragedy. Hu Chenhuan seemed to sense Su Yiyen's emotions. He hugged her and whispered, I'm sorry. Su Yiyen sniffled and said gloomily, Why are you apologizing? I should have been more courageous when it came to you. I should have found a way to meet you after you rejected that man and confirmed my feelings for you. I should have told you how I felt about you. Even if you reject me, it doesn't matter. I will try my best to treat you well and let you know that no man in this world can treat you like I do. The one thing that Hu Chenhuan regretted the most over the years was that she knew what kind of person Hu Xiaofeng was and that he was not good enough for Su Yiyen. However, because of her subtle inferiority complex and shameful thoughts, she did not step in to stop their marriage in time and gave Hu Xiaofeng a chance to hurt Su Yiyen. When Su Yiyen heard what he said, her tears immediately turned into laughter. What nonsense are you talking about? It was not that she had never thought that if Hu Chenhuan had expressed his feelings to her earlier and stepped in to stop her marriage with Hu Xiaofeng, everything would have been different. However, after thinking about it, she realized that if Hu Chenhuan had really done that, perhaps her marriage with Hu Xiaofeng would not have been successful. However, she had not experienced the things of her previous life. She had followed Hu Chenhuan as a ghost and watched him do so many things for her. She had gradually understood this person and fell in love with him. Perhaps, she would not have chosen to be with Hu Chenhuan at that time. It could only be said that no one in this world could predict the future. Even if you felt that there were many things that you regretted, you would realize that everything had been arranged when you looked back. Rashly changing things might not really go as you wished and create the good karma you wanted. Chapter 978. Su Yiyen lay in Hu Chenhuan's arms to calm himself down. Then, he asked tentatively, Can I ask you a question? What is it? You just said that when your father was seriously injured in an accident and hospitalized, you removed his oxygen mask with your own hands. What happened? Although Su Yiyen had never met Hu Chenhuan's father, he could tell that Hu Chenhuan loved his father very much from the way he talked about his father several times. If that was the case, how could he kill his father with his own hands? There must be some hidden story behind this. After Su Yiyen asked the question, he carefully looked at Hu Chenhuan. He seemed to feel that this topic was a little cruel. He couldn't help but back out. It's okay if you don't want to talk about it. There's nothing that can't be said. As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, Hu Chenhuan said, have I ever told you that during that accident, my father tried his best to protect my mother? But sometimes, God likes to joke around. My father was seriously injured, but in the end, it was my mother who died first. She didn't make it to the hospital. My father was seriously injured at that time. When he woke up, several days had passed. I had just woken up not long ago. When I learned that something had happened to them, I struggled to find them. What I got was the news of my mother's death and the bad news that my father was still in danger. When Hu Chenhuan said this, his hands began to unconsciously clench. Seeing this, Su Yiyan quickly reached out to touch the back of his hand and comforted him in a low voice. It's okay, it's okay. I'm here. I'll be with you. With Su Yiyan's comfort, Hu Chenhuan's mood improved a little. However, his tightly clenched hands still didn't relax. I broke down. I ran to find him like crazy, but I never thought that the first thing he did when he saw me was beg me. Beg you? Beg you for what? He begged me to remove his oxygen mask. Why? Su Yiyan was stunned. She never thought that a father, and a father who loved his child very much, would make such a request to his own son. He already knows, or rather, feels that my mother is no longer alive. He loved my mother too much. He couldn't accept not having my mother by his side for the rest of his life. Moreover, he was seriously injured at that time. His internal organs were bleeding, and all his indicators were in the danger zone. He could die at any time. Even if he's lucky enough to be saved, he won't be able to live for more than a few years. Furthermore, he'll be tormented by illness for the last few years. It'll be very painful. So, you agreed to his request and helped him remove the oxygen mask? Yeah. Hu Chenhuan responded in a low voice, forcing a smile on her face. Now you know why Hu Xiaofeng was so afraid of me, right? No matter how many times he called me a cripple behind my back, he didn't dare to refute me in front of me. He was afraid that I would do something to him. They all knew that I killed my father with my own hands. They thought I was crazy, but they couldn't kill me, so they could only stay away from me. They were afraid that I would kill them one day, just like how I killed my father. Stop it. Stop it. Su Yiyan hugged Hu Chenhuan tightly and cried even harder than before. Although she could understand her father's decision and could imagine how much he loved his wife back then, she could not help feeling angry and resentful towards him. Why should Hu Chenhuan be the one to fulfill your beautiful and heartbreaking love for the both of you? He was only a child back then. Why did he have to bear such a burden? Why was she so cruel to him? Chapter 979. Hu Chenhuan was a little overwhelmed by his wife's sudden outburst of emotions. He patted Su Yiyan's shoulder with heartache and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said, "You were the one who asked first. Why did you cry even harder than me after hearing it? If someone saw this, they would definitely think that I bullied you." "Yes, you bullied me." Su Yiyan wiped her tears on Hu Chenhuan's shirt and said miserably, "Why are you so stupid? He asked you to do this, and you did it. What will others think of you if this gets out?" It could be seen from the strange reaction of Hu Qihan's family that those who knew the inside story might not necessarily understand Hu Chenhuan's actions, let alone those outsiders who only cared about the results and never cared about the inside story. They were good at using their own ideas out of context. At that time, perhaps Xing Qianyang was suppressing him, or perhaps Hu Qihan was worried that this matter would get out and the stock price of the whole group would plummet, which would hurt his interests. If this matter got out, it was very likely that it would become a sharp weapon for Hu Qihan to bring down Hu Chenhuan and make him unable to make a comeback. However, Jing Qinyang's power at that time was really not something that Hu Qihan could compete with. If Hu Qihan dared to expose this matter and make Hu Qinhuan lose everything, Jing Qianyang could turn around and make him spit out as much as he had eaten, leaving him with nothing. At the thought of this, Su Yiyan felt lucky and distressed. Although the rumors outside were hurtful, no matter how hurtful it was not as painful as when Hu Qinhuan made up his mind to help his father. That was his most beloved father, who was once regarded as a towering mountain and omnipotent. In the end, he died in his hands and watched him slowly die. If it were her, she was afraid that she would be traumatized. It's all in the past. He was obviously the one who was hurt the most in this matter, but now he had to turn around and comfort the person who was sad for him. Su Yiyan's tears were about to stop, but after hearing what he said, they started flowing again. Seeing this, Hu Qinhuan felt both heartache and helplessness. She said hoarsely, "Yan Yan, actually. I used to be jealous of you." "Jealous of me?" Hu Qinhuan did not say anything. She lowered her head and stared at Su Yiyan for a long time. Hu Qinhuan was not lying. He was indeed jealous of Su Yiyan. They were both a family of 4, but the Su family situation was indeed many times better than the family was. Su Yiyan was the darling of everyone in the family. Her parents loved her dearly, and her brother doted on her very much. There had never been a situation where they hurt each other because of competing for attention. During the most bitter period, Hu Qinhuan's heart was filled with ruthlessness. Because of this jealousy, she even thought of destroying her. Why was he in so much pain, living in a dark hell every day, suffering both physical and mental torture? No matter how hard he struggled, he could not be saved, but she could be so happy. He wanted to pull her down to be with him, but the last trace of rationality in him told him that if he really did that, his world would really fall into darkness and be bleak for the rest of his life. Therefore, the reason why he did not dare to get close to Su Yiyan was partly because he felt inferior, and partly because he was worried that he would lose control and unconsciously hurt her. Su Yiyan did not wait for Hu Qinhuan's reply, but she could roughly guess what he was thinking. She sniffed and said, "It's okay. You don't have to be jealous now. I'm yours, and everything I have is also yours. My family is your family, and my family is also your family." Chapter 980. Hu Qinhuan looked straight into Su Yiyan's big eyes, which were full of seriousness and affection. He smiled slightly and said solemnly, "Thank you." Su Yiyan was a little confused. "Thank me for what?" "Thank you for being willing to marry me. Thank you for being willing to share your family with me. Thank you for being willing to work so hard to give birth to a baby for me." Su Yiyan blushed when she heard what he said, but then she seemed to think of something. She reached out and hugged Hu Qinhuan's neck. She smiled and said, "I think it's too lonely to have only one baby, Zai Zai. Why don't we work harder and give him a younger brother or sister?" Su Yiyan liked children, and she was the youngest in the family. Although the elders liked her, there were not many people of the same age around her. The children of the collateral branch were only 2 or 3 years younger than her, but most of them were very strange. Su Yiyan didn't like to play with them. She had hoped to have a younger brother or sister of the same age to play with her since she was a child. She didn't realize this wish, so she put her hope on her baby. She wanted to have another child, whether it was a boy or a girl. She wanted them to accompany each other and have a warm, happy and worry-free childhood. Hu Qinhuan didn't agree with Su Yiyan's proposal. Thinking of Su Yiyan's various discomforts during her pregnancy and the helpless situation outside the delivery room when she gave birth, Hu Qinhuan didn't want Su Yiyan to suffer again. One is enough. Now many families don't have one. It's troublesome to have too many children. Su Yiyan looked up at him pitifully. "Don't you like the baby?" "Hu Qinhuan, it's not that I don't like it. I just don't want you to suffer again." But I don't think it's so hard to have a baby. On the contrary, I enjoy it. When I'm pregnant, I can stay at home and do nothing. You would accompany me and take me out for a walk every day. When I was tired, you would massage me. When I felt uncomfortable, you would hug me and comfort me. When my feet were swollen, you would soak my feet every day and coax me to sleep. You would spoil me like a little princess. Hua Chenhuan couldn't help laughing. What you said, even if you weren't pregnant, I could still do it for you. But that's different. What I mean is that it's more satisfying to enjoy these things while pregnant. It feels like our family is firmly leaning against each other and will never be separated. Hua Chenhuan lowered her head and touched Su Yiyen's forehead. She did not object to Su Yiyen's suggestion, but she did not agree to it directly either. Xingxing is still young. If we ask for another one now, we might neglect him. Su Yiyen was slightly startled, and his gaze wavered. Besides, you just gave birth not long ago. It's not good for your health to continue giving birth. I'm not against having another child, but now is not a good time. Su Yiyen pondered for a moment. She had to admit that Hua Chenhuan's words made some sense. She pursed her lips and said disappointedly, "Okay." Hua Chenhuan couldn't help laughing when he saw her like this. He said in a hoarse voice, "We can have another child in the future, but there's something we can do now." Before Su Yiyen could finish her words, she was kissed by someone who lowered his head. The rest of the words were swallowed into the stomach by someone, and he didn't have a chance to speak again for the rest of the night. People say that what you think about during the day, you dream about it at night. Hua Chenhuan hadn't had this dream for a long time. After experiencing a series of shocks such as paralysis of the lower body, the death of her mother, and personally pulling off her father's oxygen mask, Hua Chenhuan had seen a psychologist for a long time. Chapter 981. During this period of time, he basically had the same nightmare every night. In his dream, he was back in the cramped intensive care unit. He was in a wheelchair as he looked at his father, who was wrapped up like a mummy. He wore an oxygen mask and had all sorts of machines attached to his body. Hua Chenhuan was a stranger to her father, especially when she was in her teens. Hua Chenhuan was no different. Back then, he still had the naivety of a young man and regarded his father as a hero who could hold up the sky for him. Now that he had fallen, Hua Chenhuan's world had collapsed as well. Hua Jinyan noticed Hua Chenhuan's arrival and moved his lips under the oxygen mask. Hua Chenhuan leaned closer and heard him asking about his wife's whereabouts. Your mom. Your mom. Hua Chenhuan's heart wrenched. However, she tried her best to remain calm and forced a smile. It's fine. Mom is fine. Dad, take care of yourself. Mom is waiting for you. She is waiting for you to get better. Hua Jinyan did not say anything. He looked at Hua Chenhuan deeply for a long time before he said, "Don't lie to me. I know your mom is gone." Hua Chenhuan's heart skipped a beat. She was dumbfounded. After some time, she composed herself and hurriedly said, "No, no. Dad, who told you that? Mom is fine. She is fine. No one told me." Hua Jinyan struggled to speak. His face was ashen, and he looked like a withered tree that had lost all signs of life. He looked old and frail. I could feel it. Back then. I was holding your mom. She was bleeding non-stop, and we were stuck in the car. We kept waiting for someone to save us, but no one came. Later, your mom fell asleep. I kept calling her, but she didn't respond. I could feel people coming and going. They separated us. I wanted to hold on to her, but I couldn't. I knew she was leaving. I couldn't stop her. I couldn't stop her. Hua Jinyan's speech was intermittent and was not as coherent as he usually was. When Hua Qinhuan heard the gist of it, her nose started to sting. Xing Qianyang still didn't allow him to see his mother for the last time. When he returned with Zui Yanbai and the others, he knew that his mother's death wasn't any better than Zui Yanbai's. Hua Qinhuan wanted to go and take a look, but he was also afraid to. This was his subconscious avoidance. It seemed that as long as he did not go, he could deceive himself that his mother was still alive. The woman who loved him the most, who doted on him the most, who always looked at him with a gentle smile, was still there. I couldn't make her stay, so I could only go with her. Hua Jinyan turned to look at Hua Qinhuan with a strange eagerness in his eyes. Qinhuan, do you understand me? It's too lonely for your mother to walk alone. Daddy wants to accompany her. I can't let her walk alone. Hua Qinhuan did not understand what her father meant, but she was still shocked. Dad, what did you say? Mom is all ready. How can you accompany her? Hua Jinyan did not say a word. Instead, he looked at his youngest son, who was also his only son, with a conflicted expression. Perhaps he knew that this was too cruel for a teenager, but he had no other choice. Only Hua Qinhuan could help him at a time like this. Hua Qinhuan was also the only person he could trust. Instead of living in such a painful half-dead state, it would be better to end all troubles and leave with his wife. Chapter 982. Qinhuan, are your legs in pain? Hua Qinhuan was stunned. His eyes turned red instantly. He looked like a child who had finally found a safe haven after being bullied. He showed all his vulnerability and sadness to his closest family. Yes. It hurts a lot. Daddy is in pain too. His hands and feet hurt. His whole body hurts, but his heart hurts the most. Daddy and Mommy love you the most. You can't bear to see me suffer like this forever, right? Hua Qinhuan's face was as white as a sheet. Tears rolled down his cheeks uncontrollably. He instinctively wanted to retreat. He wanted to escape from the room and the man on the hospital bed who looked like a complete stranger to him. However, he could not control his hands. It was as though he had been bewitched. He touched the transparent oxygen mask with trembling hands and moved it away from his father's face under his father's encouraging gaze. Hua Jinyan's life was still in danger due to the bleeding in his organs. Now that he had lost the oxygen mask, his breathing gradually quickened and became weaker. Less than a minute had passed, but Hua Qinhuan felt as though a lifetime had passed. Clang. Hua Qihan and Hua Jinyan stared at Hua Jinyan in horror. They had brought a bunch of things over to visit Hua Jinyan. Hua Qinhuan turned his head and met their shocked and terrified gazes. It was as though they had seen a terrifying monster. After the things fell to the ground with a loud thud, everything seemed to come to an end. Boundless darkness instantly engulfed Hua Qinhuan's vision. Hua Qinhuan, who had regained some of his consciousness, instinctively clenched his fists when he saw the familiar darkness. He knew very well what would happen after this. Even the psychiatrist had no idea what would happen after this. Everything would come to an abrupt end. That was because the nightmares that he had repeated countless times would end with his father's ashen face after the oxygen mask was removed and his mother's bloody body after the car accident. What was even more frightening was that his mother, who he used to love the most, would turn around and question him with a ferocious look on her face after discovering his existence. Why did he kill his father with his own hands? As the main culprit, his father, who had instigated him to make a move, was only silently guarding behind his mother, giving him a sinister and twisted smile. Every time this happened, Hua Qinhuan would wake up from her sleep and sit with her eyes wide open for the whole night, unable to fall asleep again. This time, he learned his lesson and closed his eyes before the two of them appeared. However, the expected questioning and cursing did not appear. Instead, a hand appeared, a warm hand that Hu Chenhuan was incomparably familiar with. That hand fell on his head and gently stroked his hair. In an instant, Hu Chenhuan was pulled back to his childhood, when the three of them went up to the mountain villa for a vacation. In the garden that his father had painstakingly built, his mother would always let him lie down and rest his head on her lap. She would caress his head from time to time and sing a melodious lullaby. "Mom." Hu Chenhuan couldn't resist the temptation and opened her eyes. What entered her eyes was the familiar gentle smile of the woman. "Child, you've worked hard." Behind the woman was the bright and dazzling sun. It shone on her body as if she was plated with a gentle halo. She was beautiful and elegant, intoxicating. "Don't blame your father. I've already helped you teach him a lesson." After saying that, the woman turned her head and looked behind her. Hu Chenhuan followed her gaze and saw his father, who was silently watching them not far away. Chapter 983. Hu Chenhuan was familiar with the gentle smile on his face. His hair had turned slightly white, but he was still as tall as a pine tree. It was not the pale and weak man who was lying on the hospital bed on his deathbed. Instead, it was the man whom Hu Chenhuan looked up to in the deepest recesses of her memory. She even saw him as a role model. He was her father. Their appearance was too sudden and unexpected. Hu Chenhuan was in a daze for a long time until his mother's voice rang out again, snapping him out of his daze. "It's about time. We should go." "Go? Where to?" Hu Chenhuan's lips moved slightly. She wanted to say something, but she realized she could not make a sound. She could not even move. "It's time for you to go back." Her mother patted Hu Chenhuan's head again. Her gentle voice carried a hint of an elder's love for her child. Hu Chenhuan could vaguely detect a hint of reluctance in her voice. "Live well and treat the people who love you well. Daddy and Mommy will love you forever." Teenagers who were 15 or 16 years old were already taller than their mothers. However, they instinctively crouched down in front of their parents. When they were young, their parents would squat down to look them in the eye and talk to them. His soft lips landed on Hu Chenhuan's forehead. His voice was filled with the blessings and expectations of his parents, as well as their reluctance and worry for him. When he raised his head again, he realized that the person who had been standing in front of him a while ago had already walked away. Hu Jinyan smiled gently and extended his hand to his wife, who was walking over slowly from about 10 meters away. Hu Jinyan interlocked his fingers with hers as well. The sunlight shone on the two of them, illuminating their smiling faces. It was heartwarming and beautiful. They reminded Hu Chenhuan of the warm memories from her childhood. However, back then, Hu Jinyan was an accident to this pair of true love. Even if he was occasionally forgotten, he would quietly watch them display their affection for each other. Now, he could only watch as the two of them walked further and further away, disappearing from his sight bit by bit. "Chenhuan. Chenhuan." Hu Chenhuan blinked uncomfortably. He looked blankly at Su Yiyan, who was squatting beside him. She looked anxious and helpless. Su Yiyan heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Hu Jinyan waking up. She probed. "Did you have a nightmare?" "Nightmare?" Hu Chenhuan wiped his face and sat up. He recalled what he had seen in his dream and smiled gently. "No, it was a sweet dream." "Sweet dream?" Su Yiyan. Who would cry when they had a sweet dream? She had been by Hu Chenhuan's side for a long time, but this was the first time she had seen him cry so hard. Hu Chenhuan had not been so sad even when she had died in a car accident in her previous life. However, at that time, Hu Chenhuan's heart was like dead ashes. He didn't care about anything. Naturally, he couldn't cry. It couldn't be compared to this. Hu Chenhuan responded in a low voice. He leaned over and kissed Su Yiyan. This successfully frightened Su Yiyan, who was still thinking. What are you doing? Nothing. I just suddenly wanted to kiss you. Su Yiyan glanced at him suspiciously. Are you really okay? Yes. Hua Qinhuan didn't know why he suddenly had this dream. But he had a premonition that this time, they were really far away from each other forever. Recalling what his mother had said in the dream, Hua Qinhuan felt that she must be referring to the people guarding him at this moment. Thinking of this, Hua Qinhuan only felt his heart boiling. He wanted to hug Su Yiyan and kiss her a few more times. Chapter 984. Su Yiyan was creeped out by his stare. Just as she was about to speak, there was a knock on the door, and she could faintly hear her precious son's cries. Su Yiyan's attention was instantly attracted. She left Hua Qinhuan and quickly ran out. The moment the door opened, the little boy, who had already cried with snot bubbles, burped at the right time. He looked miserably at his mother with tears in his big eyes. His pitiful little eyes directly hit Su Yiyan's heart, making her surrender on the spot. She reached out and hugged him into her arms. You go first. I'll coax him. The nanny was relieved. She nodded and left. Su Yiyan took the child into the room. The little guy was really picky. Previously, when the nanny carried him, he was crying with snot and tears. As soon as he entered Su Yiyan's arms, although he still sniffled and trembled, at least he did not cry anymore. Su Yiyan put the child on the bed, face up. She reached out and touched his little belly to make sure that he was not crying because of hunger. She lifted the diaper to take a look. It was dry and clean, without any trace of wetting. You only know how to torment your father and me. After Su Yiyan finished speaking, she still did not vent her anger and patted her son's chubby little butt. The little boy seemed to understand his mother's words. He cried out, showing his tender teeth. He also tried to reach out his little short hands to hug Su Yiyan's fingers and acted like a spoiled child. Su Yiyan's heart melted after his teasing. How could she still be angry? Hua Qinhuan saw that his wife's attention was all attracted by the little boy. He said sourly, You spoil him too much. The nature of mother and son was a very strange thing. Su Yiyan did not spend much time at home. The child spent most of his time with Uncle Zhang and the nanny, but the child was especially clingy to Su Yiyan. As long as she was at home, she had to feed him in the morning and at night. Otherwise, he would throw a little tantrum and cry. Hua Qinhuan had long been displeased with this little guy who occupied his wife's free time. His wife had suffered so much when she was pregnant with him. When she finally gave birth to him, she still had to take care of him every day. She didn't even have time to be alone with him. Occasionally, when the two of them shared a bed and wanted to hug each other, the little guy would howl so loudly that the nanny had no choice but to carry him to Su Yiyan for help. It was more accurate than a radar. The result of his disturbance was that the original two-person world would be forced to become a harmonious daily life of a family of three. Hua Qinhuan's initial expectations and soft-heartedness towards the little fellow had completely turned into disgust and vigilance after he had stolen Su Yiyan's attention time and time again. If she had known earlier, she wouldn't have wanted a child so early. How was he here to be their son? He was clearly here to collect debts. At this moment, Hua Qinhuan suddenly understood his father's mistake of leaving him outside and forgetting to pick him up. Now, he also really wanted to pack this little bastard up and throw him out. He would pick him up after a year and a half. That was why it was said that parents were true love, but children were all accidents. Little Xingxing seemed to have heard his old father badmouthing him. He glanced at him with his big eyes and suddenly snorted. He turned his back, not wanting to see this bad father who was badmouthing him. In the end, because he was too small, he could not turn over completely even after a long time. Finally, when he was about to turn over, Wu Qinhuan stuck out a finger and poked him back to his original position in a particularly annoying manner. Chapter 985. Victory was right in front of his eyes, but he was beaten back to square one. Moreover, this person was the culprit of his quarrel. The little guy was full of grievances. Finally, he could not help but pout and burst into tears. Seeing this, Su Yiyan slapped away Wu Qinhuan's hand and picked up the child. At the same time, she rolled her eyes at a certain someone, as if to say, childish. Wu Qinhuan. He really could not control his hand that wanted to hit and bully the child. What should he do? Because of this little episode in the morning, little Xingxing did not forgive his father who liked to bully him even after Su Yiyan and Su Yiyan finished their breakfast. He refused to be carried by him and was taken away by the nanny and Yuan. When Su Yiyan saw this scene, she felt sympathetic and amused. She gloated and said, "You deserve it. Did you really think that you could bully a child who did not know anything?" Although their baby was young, he was very vengeful. Wu Qinhuan. It was bad enough that he was despised by the little guy, but he was also ridiculed by his wife. It was really too difficult for him to be at the bottom of the family food chain. Big Boss Hua, who had lost in his first battle for Hu Jinyao's favor, was feeling extremely depressed. As for Su Yiyan, who was the target of the fight between the father and son, she was in a good mood after watching the drama between the father and son. She had forgotten all the bad things that happened 2 days ago. And this good mood continued until the stores and companies under her name started to send in good news one after another. Su Yiyan took the opportunity to invite people to her house for a barbecue to broadcast a few practical small medicine packs. Not long after the broadcast ended, the small medicine packs went online on time in the physical store. Except for some people who lived close to the store and did not have much free time to eat the ready-made medicine packs in the store, most people chose to buy the medicine packs and make them at home. Some people who lived far away and could not eat or buy the medicine packs in the store personally had relatives and friends in the local area. They could ask them to buy the medicine packs and send them over. Their relatives and friends, as well as themselves, who were not in the area, could only watch as buyers flooded the social circles one by one, while they could only drool through the screen. These people quickly joined forces and swarmed over to Su Yiyan's live streaming account and the store's public account to leave messages asking to open an online store. The people in the shop couldn't make the decision, so they simply reported it to Su Yiyan. It just so happened that Yi Qiliang and other researchers saw that her medicine packs were selling well and had good reviews, so they wanted to take this opportunity to work with her and promote some simple and practical Chinese medicine prescriptions and medicine packs. Su Yiyan did not have any objections to this. She was willing to cooperate if she could benefit the public without harming her own interests. Su Yiyan would be considered a shareholder of the technology. After he gave them the recipe, he would leave the rest of the work to others. He would just be a shopkeeper who didn't have to do anything and collected the money leisurely. In addition to this matter, there was finally a new development in Ding Juxi's extramarital affair. Did Ding Juixi and Hai Yi issue an announcement to clarify things? Yes. How did they clarify things? How else can they clarify things? Xia Junxing recalled Hai Yi's extremely perfunctory clarification and really felt that it would be difficult for Ding Juixi to survive this time. Just say that they are just colleagues working in the same production team. The intimate actions that were filmed were just part of the script and they were just rehearsing. Chapter 986. Audition. Su Yiyan's eyes were full of mockery. They have an emotional scene in that drama. Xia Junxing also laughed. Isn't it up to them whether there is or not? Can the crew jump out to refute them at this time? After all, they were the same crew. They were bound together for good or ill. Wen Jingping was fine, but Ding Juesi was acting as the second male lead in that drama. He was already halfway through filming and couldn't be replaced. Otherwise, the loss of the crew was no joke. In order to recover this loss, the crew was bound to be dragged down. Even if there were no emotional scenes, they could still make some emotional scenes for him. If it really didn't work, they could say that the original scenes were deleted because of the negative impact of this incident. Anyway, words were dead, but the people who spoke were alive, so they could say whatever they wanted. As for going to their respective rooms in the middle of the night, it was also to check the script. At that time, there were other people in the room, not just the two of them. Xia Junqing summarized Hai Yi's clarification statement and added, "Anyway, the reporters who broke the news couldn't have really filmed what they did in the room. Even if they did, in a harmonious society, they couldn't publish it even if they wanted to. If they weren't careful, they could easily get themselves implicated. Naturally, they can say whatever they want." Su Yiyan looked up at Xia Junqing and chuckled. The key to this matter is not what they say, but whether other people, especially their fans and investors who are willing to support them, are willing to believe it. After Hai Yi's statement was released, how did the media and Ding Juesi's fans react? What other reaction can there be? After so long, those who wanted to stop being fans have already done so. The rest are mostly diehard fans who won't shed tears until they see the coffin. Not to mention that Hai Yi Art gave them a perfunctory explanation. Even if they didn't give them an explanation, they would find another way to whitewash their idol's reputation from all sides. These people are persistent, but unfortunately, their persistence is in the wrong place and they are fans of the wrong person. Isn't that right? Who hasn't met a few scumbags when they were young? Even I feel a little sorry for them. However, it was only a little. She thought about how these people had insulted and even cursed other artists, reporters, and even rival artists who were in the same period as Ding Juesi but had developed better than him in order to defend Ding Juesi. Xia Junqing felt that the saying, like idol, like fan, made sense. One was willing to hit while the other was willing to be hit. If you felt sorry for them, they might even laugh at you for being silly. Unfortunately, no matter how persistent these people are, they can't compare to a single word from an investor. Ever since Ding Juesi became popular, he had been selling his image as a good husband and man. Many business partners wanted to work with him because of his image. Now that he's done something like this, there are a lot of partners who want to hold him accountable for breaking the contract. Those who originally thought highly of him and wanted to work with him definitely won't continue to do so. It doesn't matter whether it's now or in the future. His character has collapsed. His future days won't be easy. Su Yiyan sneered, his life couldn't have been any better. Have you forgotten that he has a powerful father-in-law and brother-in-law? He relied on his wife to start his business, but in the end, he abandoned his wife and children. How ungrateful. Don't people in the entertainment industry believe in luck? If he took the initiative to push out a wife who brings good luck to him, not only will his luck be gone, but the benefits he obtained from her will also be taken back double. This is called backlash. Chapter 987. Su Yiyan seemed to have thought of something when she said this. She frowned and asked in a low voice, speaking of which, have they divorced? It's already going through the procedures, but the specific division of property and custody of the two children are a little troublesome. Madame Wang insists on letting Ding Juesi leave the marriage with nothing, and she wants the custody of the two children. Ding Juesi's wife's surname was Wang. Ever since she moved out of the Ding family's small apartment, she insisted that people call her by her original name instead of Madame Ding. It was obvious that she had made up her mind to cut off all ties with Ding Juesi and not have any relationship with him in name anymore. Su Yiyan could understand Madame Wang's thoughts. They were both mothers. When she suddenly found out that the man who had been by her side for more than 10 years was a beast in human skin, she would never let the children she had painstakingly given birth to be by such a person's side. People said that parents were the first teachers of children. With such a teacher, it would be a miracle if the children could learn well. Is Madame Wang's request difficult? There is a certain level of difficulty, but with the Wang family's connections and financial resources, it's only a matter of time before they win the lawsuit. Su Yiyan nodded in satisfaction. When they sign the divorce agreement, we'll expose this matter. Didn't nothing happen? They've already divorced, so how can this be considered nothing? He really treats everyone like fools. His brainless fans like to be fools, but others don't like it. Su Yiyan didn't have much of a grudge against Ding Juesi. She just hated this person. When she saw him, she couldn't help but think of Hu Xiaofeng back then, and it was a low-end version of Hu Xiaofeng. Wasn't it disgusting? By the way, where's Wen Jingping? Has she been in contact with Ding Juesi recently? This time, the matter was not small. Ding Juesi was relatively famous, and he was a married man who had an affair. His image had collapsed, so there were more people following him. Naturally, there were more revelations. On the contrary, Wen Jingping, the third party who destroyed the harmony of other people's families, should have been reviled by everyone, but unexpectedly disappeared without a trace. She didn't come out to cry and cut ties with Ding Juesi. She also didn't jump out rashly like before and try to use her innocent and harmless face to distort the truth and put a dignified name on her actions. Su Yiyan was not used to this. Could it be that because of the male lead's neglect, this female lead, whose protagonist aura had been constantly dropping, finally had some self-awareness and knew how to know her place? It didn't make sense. If she knew her place, she wouldn't have been so impatient to hook up with Ding Juesi, the spare tire, after being ignored by Dou Tianyi for a few months. At that time, Su Yiyan would never have thought that Wen Jingping would unexpectedly pick up a cheat after losing Dou Tianyi. If this cheat didn't work hard to give her advice behind the scenes and repeatedly stop her from acting impulsively, Wen Jingping would have run out to dance. With such a troublesome host, Wen Jingping's system was really tired. Wen Jingping has less contact with Ding Juesi recently. It seems that she has a new target. A new target? Su Yiyan was stunned. She was indeed the Mary Sue female lead who had a lot of spare tires in the original work. It had only been a few days, but she actually had a new target. Was she decisively abandoning the rook to save the king after seeing that the public opinion was in the wrong direction? If it was the situation in the original work, it would be fine. Although Wen Jingping in the original work was also a B***TCH and flirted with people in all kinds of ways, her heart was Hu Xiaofeng. No matter how much she flirted with this group of people, she kept it within a limit and wouldn't easily cross the line. Chapter 988. Most importantly, she flirted with people one by one, capturing an important supporting male lead at a time, making them unswervingly loyal to her without any complaints. Even after discovering each other's existence, they would still silently sigh. She was such a good person, it was natural for so many people to like her. Weren't they also one of the people who silently protected her and liked her? It was a pity that they weren't the lucky ones to be chosen. When Su Yiyan saw it, she was quite shocked. She felt that these spare tires were really poisoned by the female lead's halo, each one more insane than the other. The current situation was very different from the original work. She hadn't even captured a supporting male lead, yet she turned around and flirted with another supporting male lead. She played the spare tires to the fullest. Was she really not afraid of screwing up? Su Yiyan rubbed her chin and pondered for a moment. She smiled and asked, "Who is her new target?" "It's the male lead of the drama they're currently filming." "The drama they're currently filming?" "The one Ding Juesi introduced her to." "Amazing." She entered the cast by relying on her relationship with the second male lead, then turned around and seduced the first male lead. She really has a set of tricks up her sleeves. Xiao Junxing couldn't help but laugh when he heard her words. He echoed, "This Miss Wen's vision and speed in finding her next target are indeed incomparable to ordinary people." The phrase, "finding her next target," could be said to be very appropriate. When Xiao Junxing first found out about Wen Jingping, he was blinded by the series of love and hate between this woman and his new boss and his boss's ex-fiancée. He originally thought that she was a daughter flower that relied on men. He didn't expect that she was actually a man-eating flower, the kind that ate people without spitting out the bones. Once you were targeted by her, you would first be infatuated with her. Without knowing anything, you would be squeezed dry by her. Then, she would abandon you without hesitation and turn to find a new target. Thinking about it carefully, she felt her hair stand on end. The people she targeted were really unlucky for several lifetimes. General Manager Xiao sighed in his heart. He didn't know that if his boss hadn't pulled his money trees away in time, they would have become the first batch to be sucked dry. Even you think that she has good taste. Who is her new target this time? The male lead of their drama is Yin Jihong, the second young master of the Yin family. Yin family. Su Yiyan pursed her lips and tried hard to recall the original novel's contents. She was certain that the novel did not mention anything about the Yin family, nor was there any particularly important supporting male character named Yin Jihong. Could it be that this was an undeveloped NPC? Thinking up to this point, Su Yiyan's heart skipped a beat. Anyone who had played games before would know that hidden NPCs could turn into big bosses as they played. Could it be that this young Master Yin, seeing Su Yiyan's bewildered expression, Xiao Junxing hurriedly explained, "You might not have heard of it, but the Yin family is a well-known family of actors. Almost every generation has someone who walks the path of acting. Yin Jihong is a direct descendant of the Yin family. His grandfather is a famous senior who is both virtuous and talented. His grandmother was once a famous actress in a play. His parents are singers and musicians respectively. It is said that Yin Jihong's acting skills were passed down to him by his grandfather. He was practically trained in this area since he was young. He could recite lines as soon as he learned how to speak. He could walk as soon as he learned how to walk." Su Yiyan's mouth twitched. He could recite lines as soon as he learned how to speak. He could walk as soon as he learned how to walk. Wasn't this child's childhood too tough? Chapter 989. Imagine eating breakfast and not knowing how to choose from a table of food. The child suddenly said, "I'm picky when it comes to relationships, and you're my type. Can you still eat?" Another example, after washing up at night, you're watching the stars with your lover on the balcony. The child comes out of nowhere and says in a sad and serious tone, "You're watching the snow, the stars, and the moon with him, talking about poetry and life philosophy. Why don't you watch the snow, the stars, and the moon with me, talking about poetry and life philosophy? Can this couple's romantic little date continue?" Another example, when the stairs are slippery and she accidentally slips and breaks her leg, the child suddenly says, "You've only lost a leg, but she's lost her love." Su Yiyan was so scared by her own imagination that she shuddered. She felt that if they were really raised like this, the parents would go crazy before the child went crazy. Xiao Junxing looked at Su Yiyan's expression and knew that she must have imagined something. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, and he laughed softly. "Of course, it's just an exaggeration. Who would really teach acting at such a young age? Teaching singing and musical instruments is more reliable." It's said that when young Master Yin first debuted, he walked the path of a multi-talented and modest gentleman. He's proficient in all kinds of rare musical instruments and has a fancy singing voice. His ability is better than some of the male artists in the same period. Oh. Su Yiyen raised her eyebrows. Logically speaking, he should be very famous. Why haven't I heard of him before? His family background and connections are there. He's more low-key and doesn't walk the path of popularity. He only acts in a down-to-earth manner and occasionally goes on official variety shows to help promote ancient culture according to the instructions of the higher-ups. He doesn't even do publicity, not to mention scandals and the usual hype in the industry. Su Yiyen muttered, according to what you said, this young masterine is quite Buddhist. Isn't that so? It's a pity that he's been targeted by this woman. It'll be difficult for him to be Buddhist in the future. Xia Junqing seemed to have thought of something when he said this. He frowned and said, speaking of which, there's something I find quite strange. What is it? According to the information, Yin Jihong initially ignored Wen Jingping and kept his distance from her. He might have even heard some rumors about her. Every time this woman took the initiative to approach him, he avoided her like the plague. But not long ago, for some reason, Yin Jihong's attitude towards this woman suddenly changed. He started to go in and out with her. He even took over Ding Juexi's role as the director. Originally, many actors and actresses in the crew knew about the recent events and were prepared to laugh at the two involved parties. Now that Wen Jingping suddenly has Yin Jihong's support, even if these people are unhappy, they don't dare to mock Wen Jingping in front of her face. They don't even dare to make trouble for her behind her back. After hearing Xia Junqing's words, Su Yiyen frowned slightly. You're saying that Yin Jihong's first impression of Wen Jingping isn't good. It could even be said that it's very bad. But after the news of Wen Jingping being a mistress in someone else's family, Yin Jihong's impression of her changed. He became appreciative of her and even supported her. According to the information, that's indeed the case. This time, not only Xia Junqing, but even Su Yiyen realized that something was wrong. Could it be that she was wrong? It wasn't that Wen Jingping didn't pretend to be pitiful like before, but that she didn't pretend to be pitiful to the public, but to her new target? Chapter 990. Or was it because she had already snatched away half of the female lead halo? But was her previous female lead halo so powerful? Su Yiyen's doubts emerged one by one, making her instinctively feel uneasy. This matter is indeed a little strange. Get someone to continue to keep an eye on her first. If she does anything strange, tell me immediately. Su Yiyen was still a little worried as she said, don't let your guard down just because she's more well-behaved now. You've also noticed that she's a little strange. People who hate her may suddenly fall in love with her one day. It's impossible to guard against that. Keep an eye on her and you can take precautions. Although Xia Junqing didn't understand why Su Yiyen cared so much about this woman named Wen Jingping, as Su Yiyen said, some people might be born a little strange. They were usually quiet, but they might suddenly jump up and bite you. Although it wasn't fatal, it would definitely hurt. Xia Junqing didn't want to take this risk. Wen Jingping probably didn't expect that the strangeness between her and Yin Jihong would be noticed so quickly. Moreover, the person who noticed it was the person who could control her life and death at any time. The scandal between Ding Juexi and her was so fierce that it caught her off guard. Wen Jingping had been hiding for a few days. It wasn't easy for her to wait for Hai Yi's announcement. She thought that the matter would be over. She didn't expect that not long after this incident, the debut work that she had worked so hard to shoot would be released at this awkward time. Also released at the same time was the blood-sucking, Dancing Red. The result was obvious. The early publicity for Empress was still very strong. In addition, when they filmed this drama, they used the banner of restoring history. Except for some onlookers who were at the forefront and resolutely boycotted Wen Jingping because of the recent scandal of the mistress, the audience had never resolutely boycotted this drama. Some of the audience who were curious about this kind of theme or were interested in history were still very willing to take a look at this drama. As a result, the viewership ratings for the premiere of Empress were not low. The viewers were not easily fooled either. They were attracted by the initial announcement, but what really attracted them to continue watching was the quality of the show. After the first day's episode was broadcasted, the audience discovered that this drama was like many previous dramas that pretended to be historical, but acted out a cliché Mary Sue love story. All in all, it was a huge investment. The clothes were complicated, and the hairstyle was shocking. It looked gorgeous, but it was actually cumbersome. The money invested was all spent on these dispensable props, and the most important thing was neglected. The plot was too harsh, and the acting was too awkward. It was enough to dissuade a group of people from the movie. On the other hand, the advertising investment for the neighboring channels, Red Brave, was not even half of that for Empress. Although it was a lot of investment, it was all in place. In addition, there was Luo Baogang, a dedicated director who strived for perfection. There were no awkward scenes at all. There was also Song Linghua, a technical consultant. Whether it was the young girls or the boys in the crew, they all had to learn how to behave as they filmed. When it came to the appearance of a group portrait, the people of Dancing Red walked in swaying and swaying. Their posture was graceful and dignified. Empress was like going to the market in their hometown. It was a mess, and a mess. It was a foul atmosphere. The difference between them was obvious. Chapter 991. Not to mention, in order to support Xia Ningxi's screenwriting debut and to promote opera culture, Song Linghua specially invited an old friend who did clothing and even makeup design. The makeup for the characters in the play was generous and simple, but it was very consistent with the person and even the role positioning. Instead, it sublimated the tone of the whole play and the appearance characteristics of the actors to a certain extent. In the eyes of the outside world, these two dramas had been secretly competing since the beginning of the shooting. They had thought that the two dramas would be evenly matched after the broadcast since they had been fighting so hard before. Unexpectedly, many people could see the advantages and disadvantages of the two dramas on the first day. When Jinping looked at the high ratings of the premiere of Empress happily and imagined that in the near future, she would become a well-known beauty and big star. Wherever she went, fans would pick her up and give her gifts, and she would be the center of attention. As a result, this fantasy only lasted for a day, and it was completely shattered by the ratings and word of mouth like Waterloo. On the second day of Empress's broadcast, the ratings plummeted, and it was not even half of the premiere. All kinds of bad comments filled the comments section at the bottom of the online page, and the rating of the drama was directly reduced from 8 points given for the premiere to 5 points, and it was still falling. Is this a big production that claims to have invested hundreds of millions? I think this so-called big production is all about these flashy clothes and jewelry, as well as the sky-high salary of the actors. It's this kind of nouveau riche hairstyle that can't wait to pile up into a small hill and pile a box of gold and silver jewelry on the head, and this kind of shadow-style plastic costume that can't be tripped and can't wait to blind your eyes and tell you how rich the crew is. When will these directors and producers understand that whether a drama is good or not depends on the plot and acting skills, and not these messy superficial things? XXX passerby fan, because he also participated in this drama, looked at the makeup photos and clicked on the episode, and was directly blinded by the dazzling. What kind of aesthetic standards do the directors and stylists have now? Do you really think the audience likes your nouveau riche style? Upstairs, I'm also a passerby fan of an actor in this drama. In order to watch him, I endured this strange scene and watched an episode. In the end, I couldn't stand it and was persuaded to quit by the awkward acting skills of a few actors. It hurts my eyes. The director and scriptwriter of this drama are really amazing. Many of the supporting roles are clearly outstanding actors. Even if they aren't considered veteran actors, at least those who have watched their previous dramas know that their acting skills are not bad. At the very least, they won't make the audience fall out of character for no reason. In the end, in this drama, the collective acting skills have gone downhill. Is it the actors who acted half-heartedly or the director who directed half-heartedly? Does no one feel that the lines in this drama are particularly awkward? When I clicked on it, I happened to see the talent show. The lines directly stunned me. She really doubted the scriptwriter's standards. This kind of overbearing CEO line that gave people goosebumps had stopped being popular hundreds of years ago, okay? Does he really think that he's filming a period drama and all the lines have to follow suit? He's really treating the audience like fools. Other than the ordinary audience who were only attracted by the trailer and publicity, but were dissuaded by the plot and acting skills, the viewers of the premiere were more ancient culture enthusiasts who were attracted by the historical drama that Hai had promoted in the early days. These people had a real affection for ancient culture. Seeing the things they liked being ruined with their own eyes, their reaction was much stronger than the ordinary audience. Chapter 992. Ancient Earth culture and history enthusiasts are disgusted. The TV series they are filming is about a legendary figure recorded in ancient Earth history. When I saw this history by chance, I was fascinated by her extraordinary political views and courage. For this reason, when I was choosing a university, I deliberately chose a related major in order to understand more about ancient culture and history, the history related to her. I heard that someone was willing to film her legendary life into a TV series. At first, I was very happy and looked forward to it. For this reason, I even gave up the tutor's big class tonight and risked failing to watch the premiere of this TV series. But it turned out that this TV series was not worthy of my expectations at all. This TV series turned an independent woman with a political mind into a Mary Sue who relied on men to get to the top. Ugh, this comment was from a student majoring in ancient culture. It was obvious that she was really dissatisfied with this TV series. She did not mention the content of the TV series throughout, but the disappointment in her words was obvious. It was worth mentioning that there were many people who agreed with her. Most of these people were also ancient culture enthusiasts and had looked forward to this TV series. No, to be precise, they had looked forward to the period dramas in recent years. Unfortunately, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Every time they thought that their bottom line had been lowered enough, the appearance of some TV series would always tell them that their bottom line had to be lowered a little more. Otherwise, they would really be angered to death. After being angered a few times like this, some people became numb, and some people exploded. After the first professional comment with such disappointment appeared, more and more ancient culture enthusiasts joined the team and began to criticize Wen Jinping's TV series from beginning to end. A particularly powerful professional even specially organized a popular science post for this TV series. He specifically pointed out some of the flaws in the costumes, hairstyles, props, and etiquette. He even gave a series of historical arguments, making it difficult for people to refute. After reading his popular science post, many people felt that the TV series was even more plastic. They had spent so much money on it, but the setting was not good, the costumes were not good, the makeup was not good, the acting was not good, and the plot was dragging. So where did all the money go? Did they spend it on publicity to brainwash the audience? That's why, never try to annoy a group, because you never know when your actions will become the fuse that causes them to explode. Once these people joined forces because of this fuse, the energy they could erupt was unpredictable and difficult to resist. Wen Jinping's TV series unfortunately became the fuse for the audience who had been fooled by all kinds of TV series over the years. Even the ratings of her TV series fell to the bottom along with its reputation. Paw! Wen Jinping was so angry that she smashed the things next to her when she saw more than 90% of the negative comments on the TV series and the few popular posts. These idiots, what do they know? A bunch of fools who haven't seen the world. They don't even know about the famous people in ancient times. How dare they criticize my drama? And these so-called ancient culture enthusiasts? Professional. Did he really think that he knew everything after learning some superficial knowledge? All he did was read a few things and he thought that he was amazing. To put it bluntly, he was just a contrarian. Those who can't be seen in real life will only show their existence on the internet. These trash, rats, bugs. Chapter 993. After venting her anger, Wen Jingbing calmed down a little. She seemed to have thought of something and clicked on the comments section of Red Singing. The publicity for Red Singing was actually quite good. Unfortunately, every time there was any movement, another drama would stick to it and deliberately suppress their popularity. Therefore, the premiere ratings of Red Singing were actually a little worse than Queen. This was also one of the reasons why Wen Jingbing was so smug. She felt that if her drama suppressed Dong Chang's drama, she would also be able to suppress Su Yiyan. However, she probably didn't expect that this feeling of superiority would last for a day. As the ratings of Queen plummeted, Red Singing's ratings and reputation steadily increased. They both started with 8 points, but Queen's ratings kept dropping. Meanwhile, Red Singing's ratings had gradually climbed to 8.5 points, and the comments were all positive. This style, this setting, and this acting are really amazing. Compared to the production team next door, the little brothers and sisters are simply fairies. The plot is also very tight and not dragging. I love it. Above, keep a low profile. Let's not flatter and trample on each other. The most important thing is that the production team next door has Hua Hua Lu Feng and extremely embarrassing acting skills. There's really nothing to compare with our drama. Please don't lower yourself. Thank you. When I looked at the cast before, I was worried that the lead actors were not young anymore. Would they be too old to play the little brothers in their teens or 20s? It turns out that I was too narrow-minded. The age of the stars is different from our age. The little brothers and sisters in the drama are so tender that you can pinch water out of them. I can do it again. It's not just because their skin conditions are good and they know how to take care of themselves. Let's talk about the logistics team of this drama. The stylist is teacher Shi Meiling. She was a famous stylist in the entertainment industry back then. The most classic dramas such as The Secret History of XX, XX Dynasty, XX Legend, and a series of very good dramas with good plots were all once the white moonlight in my heart. However, later on, she gradually faded out of the entertainment industry and stopped styling people. I didn't expect this drama to be able to invite her. Just based on this, I will definitely watch this drama to the end. It's not just the stylist. Look at the director of this drama, Luo Baogang. If you don't know, I suggest you search for it. You will be surprised. There was also a technical consultant. They had hired Song Linghua, teacher Song. If you didn't know, you could look it up. He was a famous opera master. They had probably specially hired him because of the female lead's identity. From this aspect, it could be seen that the crew was very considerate. Unlike a certain production team next door. Previously, Bloodsucking kept talking about investments. I thought that they had hired some Daluo Golden Immortal as foreign aid. Now, it seems that it's nothing much. Hahaha, the sister above is too outstanding. I said everything I wanted to say. Daluo Golden Immortal was very appropriate. Previously, before the drama was broadcast, the fake reviewers were terrifying. Even if they didn't say anything, they would say that it was a few $100 million investment. We have money, but those who say that are poor people. I went out to search and came back. F***ck, what kind of godly crew is this? No wonder, even though he couldn't understand what the female lead was singing, he just felt that her figure was especially beautiful and her temperament was especially good. The most important thing was that her singing was especially mellow and pleasant. When I watched it yesterday, my mother listened to a few lines and immediately ran over to watch it with me. After watching 2 episodes, she still wanted me to call her when I watch it tomorrow. Ha ha ha. Chapter 994. Previously, when the 2 companies had a falling out, the earliest example was the directing team. After Hai-E poached Pan Yuan, Su Yiyan personally went to invite Luo Baogang to come over and forcefully suppressed Pan Yuan. Therefore, many people knew that the director of their drama was Luo Baogang. However, if someone didn't deliberately mention the other people behind the scenes, such as the scriptwriter, technical consultant, and even stylist, most people wouldn't pay attention to them. In addition, most of these old artists were used to keeping a low profile and didn't like to create hype. In the beginning, when the production team announced it, they deliberately avoided it and tried their best not to let people disturb these seniors. Now that the drama had been broadcast, spontaneously promoting it was different from the audience actively discovering it. In the early days, when the drama hadn't been broadcast or wasn't popular, spontaneously promoting it was to let the audience watch the drama based on this and pull up the ratings. When the audience took the initiative to discover it, it meant that the drama had already entered the public's attention and had received a certain level of recognition. At this time, the team behind the scenes was only icing on the cake. It would also give people a good impression that the production team was really low-key and doing practical things. Wen Jingping had been so angry that she smashed things when she saw that her drama had been criticized as worthless. Now that she saw that her opponent's drama had such a good reputation and received so much praise, anger instantly rushed to her head. She couldn't wait to pick up the scattered things on the ground and smash them again. These brainless low-class people who don't know what's good for them. What's so good about an actress's drama? It's just sensationalism. How can it be as big as my drama's theme? Sure enough, although the technological development of people in the future has advanced a little, the taste of entertainment is getting worse and worse. It's not worthy of liking my drama at all. The system in Wen Jingping's mind listened to its host's complaints and wanted to say something, but it didn't. If it wasn't just a string of emotionless data, she was afraid that it would have sent her 2 rolling eyes. Wen Jingping didn't have any self-awareness at all. She muttered to herself, "These must be fake reviewers. Yes, they must be fake reviewers. Otherwise, why would they only come to find trouble with me and not with the production team? We're both in period dramas. How can their makeup, hairstyle, and even clothes compare to mine? How can they match history? Why do these people just refuse to let me go, instead of educating them? Someone must have deliberately set the pace here." When the system heard this, it couldn't help but grumble in its heart, "Your drama has been flaunting itself as a historical drama since the start of filming, just so you can enjoy the benefits of these ancient culture lovers. The production team next door isn't as pretentious as you guys. From the very beginning, they said that it was a fake background. They just casually added a background for the sake of passing the review to facilitate the plot. Although those professionals were good at arguing, they weren't stupid. Coming to find trouble with you was the right thing to do, but going to find trouble with that person's crew was a scam. No, I can't just sit here and wait for death. I have to hire a water army too. I have to ask the company to help me hire a water army. I also have to delete the comments. I can't let them lead me away." Wen Jingping seemed to have grasped at a life-saving straw. She hurriedly called her agent who had given up on her and asked her to help her deal with this matter. Who would have thought that before she could make the call, another call came in first. "Hello, Miss Wen. I'm Mr. Do's assistant, Li Yu." Chapter 995. Wen Jingbing could not help but shiver when she heard the words of Mr. Doe. She gulped and said carefully, Mr. Li, what's the matter? It's like this. Miss Wen, you should know that the drama you starred in has been released recently. Yes. Yes, that's true. I took a look. The ratings for the premiere of the drama are all right. But no matter what she said, as long as she said the word but, it was easy to cause problems. Wen Jingbing naturally knew this. Her heart skipped a beat, and her expression stiffened for a moment. But other than the premiere, the ratings for the drama have dropped significantly in the later stages. The reputation of the drama doesn't seem to be good either. This is just a temporary thing. The audience for dramas with this theme is more picky, and some people don't like to watch dramas. They will wait until the drama is over before starting from the beginning. A temporary drop in the ratings doesn't mean anything. I believe that our drama is so good that the ratings will slowly climb back up in the later stages. I hope so. Li Yu's tone did not fluctuate at all. It seemed that she was not very interested in this. As an employee of the same company, I naturally hope that Miss Wen's drama will be a hit. But I have to remind Miss Wen not to forget the bet you made with Mr. Doe. Wen Jingbing's face turned pale. She said stiffly, I don't quite understand what you mean. Miss Wen, you promised Mr. Doe that as long as you were the female lead of the drama, you would be able to shoulder the ratings. Even if you couldn't generate revenue, you wouldn't let the drama suffer a loss. But now, the drama has just been released. Everything is unknown. Wen Jingbing's head was covered in cold sweat. She interrupted Li Yu before she could finish speaking. Li Yu was silent for a moment. Then she suddenly laughed. Miss Wen is right. The drama has just been released. Everything is unknown. I just want to remind Miss Wen that if the ratings for the later stages of the drama really rise like you said, it'll be fine if the initial investment is recouped. But if it loses money, I'm afraid Miss Wen will have to find a way to cover the losses yourself. Why? Wen Jingbing was so scared that she blurted out in a fishy voice. After she finished speaking, she realized that it was inappropriate and hurriedly tried to salvage the situation. I mean, the success or failure of a TV series is not just about the heroine. What you just said is, the success or failure of a drama isn't just a matter of one person. But Miss Wen seems to have forgotten that you were the one who personally made this bet with Mr. Doe. Could it be that Miss Wen wants to go back on her word now? No, I didn't mean that. Li Yu didn't give Wen Jingbing a chance to refute and continued, also, why are the male and female leads called male and female leads? It was because they had the most scenes in the drama and were the most popular. In other words, they were here to boost the viewership ratings. Unfortunately, your drama is a female lead drama, so no one else has as many scenes as you do. To put it bluntly, as the female lead of a major female lead drama, if you can't even handle the viewership ratings, what kind of female lead are you? Now that the ratings of the drama are not increasing, and the investors are losing money, who else can I blame but you? Miss Wen, please be clear about one thing. I'm here to inform you, not to discuss it with you. You only have two choices. 1. Pray that the drama can really come back from the dead and boost the viewership ratings. 2. Work hard to earn money and pay the compensation. Otherwise, I'm afraid you can't bear the consequences. Chapter 996. Li Yu didn't give Wen Jingbing a chance to respond and immediately hung up. Wen Jingbing's face darkened when she heard the busy tone. She tried to hold it in, but in the end, she couldn't take it anymore and smashed everything in her hands. After venting her anger by smashing things, Wen Jingbing turned her anger to the system. She gritted her teeth and said, "Useless trash, this is your so-called male lead. You still won't let me untie him. Do you want him to kill me? The system was angered by Wen Jinping's shameless behavior and said coldly, Host, please understand that the second male lead was chosen by the host. It has nothing to do with the system. Wen Jinping choked and her face darkened. How many times have I said it? I never chose him. It was you guys who made the decision for me. I don't admit it. The system chuckled and shut up. After that, no matter how Wen Jinping poked it, it refused to talk to her. Wen Jinping complained to no avail and even made herself angry. But when she thought about what Li Yu had said, Wen Jinping couldn't help but feel afraid. She knew better than anyone else how much money was invested in Empress. Wen Jinping didn't even dare to think about how much money she would have to pay if the ratings of the show weren't ideal. It was definitely an astronomical figure that Wen Jinping didn't even dare to think about. How could he treat me like this? How could he treat me like this? Wen Jinping hugged her chest and felt cold all over. She couldn't understand how things had turned out like this. Obviously, someone else had latched onto a powerful thigh and wealth was within reach. She, on the other hand, had been running around for so long and didn't get anything. Instead, she got scolded and inexplicably had a huge debt on her back. Why was it like this? Dou Tianyi had treated her very well in the beginning. He liked to eat her cooking and personally arranged accommodation for her. He even helped her avoid Hu Xiaofeng's harassment. She was afraid of him, but she was also secretly happy that he treated her differently. But why did it suddenly change? Wen Jinping still could not figure out why Dou Tianyi would suddenly abandon her and not even want to see her face. When exactly did the problem start to appear? Come to think of it, every time she thought she was about to succeed, there would be all kinds of accidents. Ding Jueси was one of them this time, and so was Dou Tianyi. However, if they really wanted to look into it, it seemed to have started from Hu Xiaofeng. First, it was the talent show. Then, something happened to Hu Xiaofeng's family. Everything seemed to have been forcefully pushed off the original track by a large hand, causing her efforts to be in vain. The culprit seemed to be Hu Xiaofeng's ex-fiancée, Miss Su. Wen Jinping's not-so-smart brain suddenly became smart for once. Thinking about it carefully, everything seemed to have suddenly changed when Hu Xiaofeng broke off his engagement with Miss Su. After that, Miss Su married Hu Xiaofeng's youngest uncle and easily got a management company. This management company was the main investor of the show she participated in. In order to stay, she had a conflict with the artists of this management company. After that, Hu Xiaofeng was suddenly kicked out of the whole group and stripped of his inheritance rights. Hu Xiaofeng's youngest uncle's legs suddenly recovered. He took the company back from Hu Xiaofeng's father and kicked him out of the company. According to the system, Hu Xiaofeng originally had the male lead script. How could he be kicked out so easily? Miss Su and Hu Xiaofeng's uncle were definitely suspicious. Chapter 997. However, so what if Wen Jinping knew that there was something wrong with Su Yiyan? She could not even protect herself in her current situation, let alone find trouble with Su Yiyan and Li Wuyo. Thinking of the huge debt she was about to bear, Wen Jinping was afraid and resentful. She could only pin all her hopes on the last straw. No, I can't just admit defeat. So much money. Where am I going to find so much money? Wen Jinping paced back and forth with a pale face. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and her eyes lit up. Yin Jihong, yes, as long as he's willing to help. There's still a chance for everything to turn around. After Ding Juexi's accident, Wen Jinping exchanged all the goodwill she had gained from Ding Juexi into props and threw them all to Yin Jihong. This made Yin Jihong's attitude towards her change significantly, allowing her to stay alone in the crew and not be affected by Ding Juexi's scandal. Now, Wen Jinping had no other choice. Yin Jihong was her last hope. As long as she caught him and made him loyal to her, she could make a comeback. Understanding this, Wen Jinping gritted her teeth and decided to use some extreme means. Su Yiyan didn't know about the twists and turns inside Hai Yi, let alone that Wen Jinping had been forced into a desperate situation and accidentally suspected her. Following the popularity of Dancing Red, Su Yiyan also welcomed an uninvited guest. Director Luo, Auntie Song, why are you here? Su Yiyan looked at the few elders sitting in the hall, blinked, and took the initiative to ask, these are, President Su is back. As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, Luo Baoging and the others didn't say anything. Xia Ningxi had already stood up and rushed to Su Yiyan's side. Her eyes were shining and she smiled a little foolishly. Su Yiyan had goosebumps from her smile and instinctively took a step back. Just as he was wondering what had happened to the little girl, he heard her lower her voice and shout excitedly, "Host, Su Yiyan." All right, the case was solved. Someone had tipped them off. She shouldn't have trusted that brat from the Lon family too much. You know. Did Miss N tell you that? Su Yiyan's words were tantamount to admitting that Xia Ningxi called him a streamer just now. The light in Xia Ningxi's eyes became brighter. If it weren't for the elders on the scene, she would have rushed forward to give Su Yiyan a big kiss. Xia Ningxi kept nodding while flattering Su Yiyan with tears in her eyes. I didn't expect it to be you. Sob 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 sob, did I succeed in chasing after my idol? No, the streamer is Dong Cheng's boss. I've worked with Dong Cheng before. Therefore, the streamer is also my boss. Streamer, does your company still need screenwriters? You'll bring your own script, work hard without complaint, and don't need a salary. You'll only need to pay for 3 meals. Su Yiyan laughed and said helplessly, our company doesn't provide 3 meals. 1 meal is fine, or 1 meal a week. I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. I only need a number. Xia Ningxi was afraid that Su Yiyan would refuse. She looked up at Su Yiyan eagerly and tried to sell herself. The streamer has promoted employee benefits in the live broadcast room before, right? I don't ask for much, and it doesn't need to be free. I can pay for it. I just want to be able to cut in the employee queue. Once a week, no, once a month, I'll get a number. Streamer, please accept me as a diligent and lovable social animal. Su Yiyan. No, girl, do your family know that you're selling yourself so conscientiously? Chapter 998. In the end, it was Song Linghua who took the initiative to speak up and rescue Su Yiyan from the awkward atmosphere of being chased after by fanatical fans. What are you whispering about over there? Why don't you share it with us elders? Su Yiyan seemed to wake up from a dream. She smiled faintly and looked at them. I'm telling Miss Xia about the drama we've been broadcasting recently. I saw that the reviews online for this drama are very good and the ratings are very high. It's all thanks to you, Director Luo, Miss Xia, and the rest of the crew. When Luo Baoging heard Su Yiyan praise their drama, he looked a little proud. However, he said, it's mainly because your company's investment is in place. It's not surprising that it's such a good drama after spending so much money. Director Luo is too modest. Nowadays, it's not like you can make a good drama just by spending money. Let's not talk about the distant ones. Just look at the terrible drama next door. They spent no less money than our drama, but what happened in the end? Look at how many people on the internet are saying that they're good. It's all because they don't have good directors and consultants like you and Auntie Song. No matter how good the actors and the script are, it's all ruined. Speaking of the recent success of Red Brave, the person who regretted it the most was director Pan Yuan, who was originally invited by Dongqing Entertainment to direct the drama, but later broke the contract and jumped ship to Hai Yi. Director Pan initially promised to direct Red Singer, but on the eve of the contract signing, he jumped to High E and announced that he would direct The Empress. He openly helped High E to backstab Dongqing. In fact, the reason he was willing to jump ship was very simple. Compared to Dongqing, High E gave him more remuneration, more promises, and more generous treatment. However, when he joined the crew, he realized that he had been tricked. High E did give him more remuneration, but in exchange, the company took away most of his rights as a director. They were both big historical dramas, but Dongqing didn't interfere with the selection of the crew, the scriptwriter's adaptation of the plot, or even the replacement of the actors. He had given Luo Baoging almost all of the rights in the production team, giving him the greatest amount of trust. High E was different. From the casting of actors to the plot, and even some friction during the filming process, the director had almost no say in it. The final result was that the drama wasn't very good. The ratings weren't good, and many of High Yi's empty promises couldn't be fulfilled. In addition, in order to step on Dongqing, High E Entertainment had publicized the fact that he directed Empress to everyone. Outsiders might not understand, but insiders could see the knack of it at a glance. It would have been fine if he had done a good job in the drama. After all, people in this industry worshipped the strong and trampled on the weak. As long as you stood at the top, your character was secondary. But the truth was that he had messed up. He had lost all his face. One could only imagine what awaited him in the future. All right, you two can stop flattering each other. Song Linghua couldn't stand the two of them bragging about each other. She pulled her husband aside and glared at him. Let's get down to business. Yes, let's get down to business. After being glared at by his wife, Luo Baoging remembered the purpose of today's visit. He coughed softly and said, "Little Sue, we're here today to ask for your help." "What's the matter?" "It's like this. These two are old friends of ours." Song Linghua pointed to the two elders who were about the same age as them and introduced them. One of their juniors had an accident 2 years ago and was injured. We heard about it by chance and thought that you might be able to help her, so... Chapter 999. She heard something by chance. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and glanced at Xia Ningxi as if she sensed something. Xia Ningxi looked at the sky and the ground with a guilty conscience, but she didn't dare to look at Su Yiyan. She just heard Song Linghua and others talk about this, and she couldn't hold back her desire to promote her idol. She didn't expect that her momentary hot-headedness seemed to have caused trouble for the host. Would the host hate her because of this? Woo. Su Yiyan saw Xia Ningxi's reaction and understood everything in her heart. She smiled and said, "It's rare for Auntie Song to open her mouth. If I can help, I won't refuse. I just don't know what Auntie Song is talking about." Song Linghua didn't speak, but glanced at the two old people next to her. The two understood and hurriedly got up and said, "Hello, Miss Su. We are friends of Baoging and Linghua. My surname is Li, and this is my lover." "Hello, Uncle Li." Uncle Li was about the same age as Luo Baoging. It was reasonable to say that Su Yiyan should be more than enough to call him grandpa. However, Su Yiyan had been accustomed to being one generation higher than her peers since she married Hu Chenhuan. Song Linghua and Hu Chenhuan's parents were old friends. Su Yiyan called him uncle according to their seniority. Grandpa Li was somewhat surprised when he learned that Su Yiyan was the person they were looking for. After all, in his opinion, Su Yiyan was a little too young. Even when he spoke to Su Yiyan, he was a little more restrained. Su Yiyan's call of uncle comforted his embarrassment in a timely manner. His tone relaxed a little. "Here's the thing. This is my granddaughter. Her name is Lian Nam. She used to be a singer." "Singer?" Su Yiyen subconsciously glanced at the young man sitting beside the two old men. In fact, Su Yiyen had noticed this person as soon as he entered the door. There was no other reason than the fact that the weather was not particularly cold, but this person was wrapped up tightly from head to toe, with almost no flesh exposed. Even his face only revealed a pair of lifeless eyes. It looked inexplicably strange. Seeing Su Yiyen's curiosity about his granddaughter, Grandpa Li's eyes flashed with a touch of sadness. He took the initiative to explain, and Nan had an accident when she went abroad to perform 3 years ago. The performance venue suddenly caught on fire. The fire spread very quickly and soon reached the lounge wherein Nan was. When Grandpa Li said this, Lianam's dead eyes moved slightly, and one could faintly see his unwillingness and resentment. Although the rescue team arrived in time and Nan barely survived, the fire still left her with scars all over her body and took away her throat. Hearing this, Su Yiyen narrowed his eyes. He could roughly guess why these people were looking for him. He also finally understood why the person in front of him was wrapped up so tightly. Fire can be really scary sometimes. A girl, a singer, survived the fire, but her face was disfigured and she lost the voice that she was so proud of. No one could tell whether this was a blessing or a misfortune. Su Yiyen looked into the other's lifeless eyes and felt a rare bit of compassion. He probed, "Can I see her injuries?" When Su Yiyen said this, Lianam suddenly trembled and subconsciously reached out to cover her face. Obviously, she was very resistant to the idea of showing her burns in front of a stranger. Chapter 1000. Grandma Li was sitting next to Lianam. She quickly hugged her granddaughter and comforted her gently. Su Yiyen did not expect her to react so strongly. She touched her nose and said awkwardly, "If you feel offended, then forget it." Grandpa Li frowned and hesitated. No matter how much he doubted Su Yiyen's ability, they came today with a glimmer of hope. If they did not even show her the wound, how could they ask for help? Thinking of this, Grandpa Li finally stopped hesitating. He walked up to his granddaughter and said in a hoarse voice, "And Nan, let's just let Miss Su take a look. Just one look. Grandpa knows that you're upset and that you don't want anyone to see your face, but Miss Su is not just anyone. Maybe she really has a way. Don't be afraid, Grandpa and Grandma are here." Song Linghua and the others quickly said, "That's right, and Nan. If you mind, we can leave. Just let little Su stay behind and take a look for you, okay?" Song Linghua and her husband were old acquaintances with Grandpa Li and his wife. They had been in contact with each other all these years. Therefore, they doted on each other's juniors. Otherwise, they would not have put aside their pride and come to Su Yiyen for help. Lianam listened to everyone's words. Not only did she not calm down, but she reacted even more strongly. She clutched the edge of the gauze tightly and her whole body tensed up. She was like a fully drawn bow that could break at any time. Seeing this, the elders also felt a little distressed and decided to retreat at the same time. At this moment, the child's cries suddenly rang out, breaking the tense atmosphere in the room. When Su Yiyen heard the crying, she did not care about the guests present. She quickly went up and took the child from the nanny. "What's wrong? Do you miss your mommy? Kiss kiss, mua mua, don't cry, don't cry." The child's temper came and went quickly. After being coaxed by Su Yiyen for a while, he stopped crying. He sobbed and grabbed onto Su Yiyen's clothes, looking extremely pitiful. Woof, woof. Dun Dun and its silly son were still circling around Su Yiyen's feet, barking incessantly. When the little guy heard the dog barking, he pouted his mouth and was about to cry again. He looked as if he had been greatly wronged. Seeing him like this, Su Yiyen immediately became nervous and asked in a low voice, "Why are you crying again?" Did Dun Dun and the others bully you? Tell Mama, Mama will help you vent your anger. The little guy seemed to understand his mother's words. He waved his little chubby hand that was like a lotus root and cried out non-stop. It was as if he was complaining. The nanny at the side explained in a timely manner, "Just now, I brought little young master to play with the pink ball that young madam bought previously. Little young master likes that ball very much. Every time he finishes drinking milk, he must pat that ball." Perhaps because he was particularly happy today, he used a little too much strength to pat the ball and it flew away. I was about to carry him over to pick it up when Silly Boy ran out from somewhere. He bit the ball and ran away. Later, I don't know where he hid it. I couldn't find it no matter how hard I tried. Little young master cried. Su Yiyen really did not expect such a thing. She was angry and amused at the same time. She lowered her head and rubbed her son's chubby face. Okay, it's just a small toy. Let Silly Boy bite it back for you. It's fine if you can't find it back. Mama will buy you a new one." Crying over such a small thing, I didn't expect our baby to be such a crybaby. Humph. The little guy was poked in the nose by his mother and snorted in dissatisfaction. He buried himself in Su Yiyen's arms and was unwilling to look up. Chapter 1001. Pfft. Xia Ningxi couldn't help but laugh when she heard Su Yiyen's words. She squatted beside the two dogs and said in surprise, "Host, your dog is called Silly Boy. This corgi does look like an iron silly boy. It doesn't feel like a corgi, but more like a husky." Silly Boy didn't know that he was being laughed at. He looked up and stuck out his tongue at Xia Ningxi. Dun Dun patted his son's head in disappointment. To prevent him from continuing to be stupid in front of the guests, he picked up his destiny by the scruff of his neck and ran away with his short legs. Xia Ningxi looked at the backs of the two dogs, one big and one small, and laughed. I heard people say that corgis have short legs and run like moving little meatballs. I didn't believe it. Today, I found that this saying is reasonable, ha 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 ha. Su Yiyen. Girl, your laughter is too wild. Be careful that they come back to bite you. Don't you know that corgis hate it when people say that they have short legs? After such a small episode, the faces of the elders, who were originally frowning, couldn't help but show some smiles. Grandma Li looked at Su Yiyen, who was holding the child not far away. When she turned her head, she found that Lian Nam had calmed down and was staring at the chubby boy in Su Yiyen's arms. Grandma Li was slightly stunned. Then, she thought of something and her eyes turned red. After Su Yiyen coaxed the child, she turned her attention back to the guests. To be precise, she focused on Lian Nam. Have you thought about it? If it's too much, let's call it a day. Go back and discuss it before you make a decision. Su Yiyen didn't have the habit of forcing people, nor did she have the overflowing heart of a saint. Today, these people had asked her for help. Before coming, they didn't know to reach a consensus. They waited until they came. Even if Lian Nam was really pitiful, Su Yiyen felt that she didn't need to rush to ask people to do this test. I'm willing to show it to you, but only you. As soon as he said this, the room fell silent again. Lian Nam's voice was not pleasant to the ears. It was as hoarse as a car tire running over gravel. It was low and sounded like it was being torn apart. After listening to it too much, it always made people feel uncomfortable. Ever since her throat had been damaged by the fire, Li Anan had rarely spoken. This was the reason why she rarely spoke. Grandpa Li was the first to react. He said emotionally, okay. It's good that you're willing. Miss Su, what do you think? Su Yiyen didn't expect Lian Nam's attitude to change so quickly. He looked at her suspiciously. There is a guest room downstairs. You come with me. The others wait outside. Su Yiyan naturally couldn't hold the child in her arms when she went in for a checkup. She handed the child over to Uncle Zhang for the time being and asked him to help greet the guests in the hall. Host, can I play with your baby for a while? Xia Ningxi looked at the chubby baby in the cradle with shining eyes, and her excitement was beyond words. Today, not only did she see a live host, but she also saw the host's legendary baby. Ah, her life was complete. Su Yiyan saw Xia Ningxi's little thoughts and didn't stop her. Okay, but my baby is a little afraid of strangers. He likes to be noisy. You can just watch. Don't touch him. If you make him cry, no one can coax him. Xia Ningxi hurriedly said, okay, I'll just watch. I promise I won't touch him. Chapter 1002. The guest room on the first floor was right next to the living room. Su Yiyan led Li and Nam into the room. She looked at the open window in the room and asked in a low voice, do you want me to close the window? Li and Nam pursed her lips and nodded slightly. Su Yiyan didn't mind. She walked over to close the window and drew the curtains. Fortunately, the sky wasn't completely dark yet. The curtains in the room were thin and allowed light to pass through. Even with all the curtains drawn, she could still see the furnishings in the room and the faces of the people around her with the faint light. Su Yiyan closed the curtains and returned to the bedside. She heard Li and Nam say with her head slightly lowered, thank you. You're welcome. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want me to help you? Li and Nam's body stiffened when she heard that. Her hands that were hanging by her side subconsciously tightened. The two of them were in a deadlock for a while. Li and Nam's hands trembled as she slowly removed the bandages covering her face and neck. When the last layer of bandages fell off, Su Yiyan realized that the person in front of her was much more severely burned than she had imagined. The excessive burns left scars and pink keloids on her face. There were some signs of shrinkage in the depths of her cheeks and chin, making her facial features look strange. If she suddenly saw such a face at night without any mental preparation, she would most likely be frightened and might even have nightmares. No wonder she had such a big reaction when she said that she wanted to see her injuries. If it were her, she wouldn't want anyone to see her in such a hideous state. No, to be precise, if she had become like this, Su Yiyan wasn't sure if she would have the courage to continue living. After a short moment of shock, Su Yiyan took the initiative to walk to Li and Nam's side and asked in a low voice, can I touch it? Li and Nam clenched her hands into fists. She resisted the urge to wrap the bandages back and nodded slightly. She didn't even dare to look at Su Yiyan. She was afraid that she would see fear and disgust in her eyes. She was even more afraid of seeing her own ugly and twisted face in her eyes. Su Yiyan got Li and Nam's permission and reached out to touch her face. She carefully felt the keloids and some uneven scars on her fingertips. You have these on your body too? Yes. It's that serious? Yes. Su Yiyan muttered, it's a little troublesome. The light in Li and Nam's eyes dimmed instantly. Su Yiyan didn't try to comfort Li and Nam to comfort. She said, I can't just rely on myself, your injuries, I can't do it. From the scars on your face, I can see that after you were rescued, you should have quickly undergone skin grafting surgery. This is correct. Your burns are too severe. If we don't stop the wounds from festering, we won't be able to save your life. But skin grafting can only heal your external wounds. Skin grafting alone won't be able to heal the burns that are too deep. The only choice you have now is plastic surgery. Fill this part back to its original state and stretch the skin. Leah Nam was silent for a long time and said, "I know, it's useless." Over the years, her family had never given up on finding a better treatment for her injuries, as well as her face. Leah Nam had heard what Su Yiyen had just said from several doctors before. Chapter 1003. It was the same statement, but at the end, it would be followed by the same warning: after plastic surgery, there would be scars. Just like when she was severely burned and had to undergo skin grafting surgery, which resulted in scars all over her body. She did not look like a human, but more like a broken doll that had been stitched together. The so-called plastic surgery was nothing more than making her look less like a ghost. Are you talking about the scarring after the surgery? This is indeed unavoidable. After all, the burns on her body had already penetrated deep into her subcutaneous tissues. It was basically impossible for her to completely recover to her original state. But there is still some room for manipulation for this scar. Leah Nam's body trembled. Her eyes widened in surprise and anticipation as she looked at Su Yiyen. "You mean, you can help me get rid of these ugly scars?" "I can't guarantee that it will be completely removed." Su Yiyen glanced at the scars on her face. "But it should be able to fade them." "Fade them?" Leah Nam's hand subconsciously tightened. "To what extent?" "I can't say for sure, but it should be able to fade to the point where it can be covered with makeup." Upon hearing this, Leah Nam finally could not hold it in anymore. She stood up and stared at Su Yiyen with burning eyes. "Really?" Su Yiyen rolled her eyes. She could not be bothered to argue with Leah Nam on this topic. Even an experienced doctor could not guarantee that he could cure every illness and that there would be results for every illness, especially irreversible injuries like Leah Nam's. "If you think that I'm boasting to fool you, you can choose not to believe me." Leah Nam was silent for a while. Just when Su Yiyen thought that she would refuse to cooperate or seriously consider for a period of time like before, she suddenly heard her ask in a hoarse voice, "Did you treat Chirue and Jinyo's illness?" Su Yiyen was stunned. She did not expect that she actually knew Ning Chirue, but Jinyu? Was there anyone she knew by this name? Seeing Su Yiyen's confusion, Leah Nam's expression changed a little. He coughed softly and said, "Jinyu and Chirue are good friends. He once looked for you in the hospital and asked you to treat him, That? That's right. There was a period of time when he wasn't very good in that aspect." It took Su Yiyen a few seconds to figure out what he meant by not being able to do that. Finally, she recalled who Jinyu was that Leah Nam mentioned. "Oh, it's him." Su Yiyen seemed to have thought of something and couldn't help laughing. "How is he now?" And, cough cough. Leah Nam was unusually calm when discussing this topic with Su Yiyen. He said calmly, "It's pretty good. He used to be a playboy, changing girlfriends like changing clothes. If he didn't have clothes, he could run naked at most. If he didn't have a woman, he might die." Chirue often scolded him for being a teddy bear. After this incident, he suddenly turned over a new leaf and cultivated his character. In the past 1 or 2 years, he hasn't had many girlfriends. It's rare that he's chaste. If not for this, they wouldn't have realized that something was wrong. Su Yiyen heard Leah Nam's words and raised her eyebrows. She smiled faintly and said, "You have a good relationship with him. He even told you about this kind of thing." When it came to a man's dignity, most people couldn't wait to hide it. Who would tell a female friend so openly? "We grew up together." It slipped out of my mouth. Su Yiyen nodded in understanding. "So, you're willing to come to me because of the two of them?" Chapter 1004. Yes. If that's the case, why are you asking so many questions? Leah Nam pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Su Yiyen sighed when she saw this. She could understand her concerns. Open your mouth and let me take a look at your throat. Leah Nam was stunned. She suddenly grabbed Su Yiyen's hand and said excitedly, "My throat, is there a way to recover?" Su Yiyen couldn't help but roll her eyes at her. "I haven't even seen it yet. How would I know if it can be cured? Let's see first." As Su Yiyen spoke, she pried open Leah Nam's mouth. Perhaps because she was hopeful, Leah Nam was very cooperative this time. She opened her mouth so that Su Yiyen could see the situation inside. Su Yiyen took a few simple glances. In fact, it was just a formality. She had already activated her gaze skill and scanned the position of Leah Nam's throat. Your throat must have been affected by the smoke. Later on, you didn't take good care of it, so it became like this. If you take good care of it, there should still be hope. Perhaps because her throat was inside, Leah Nam had inhaled too much smoke and damaged her throat. With a few prescriptions and long-term recuperation, it could still be improved. At least, it was much easier to treat this than the burns on her body. Leah Nam's eyes lit up slightly. Then in the future, can I still sing? Su Yiyen was stunned for a moment. She took a deep look at the person in front of her. She could tell that this person really liked singing. She wasn't even this excited when she was talking about treating her burns. As someone who regarded singing as her life's work, after this fire, her face was ruined, and her voice, which could make her dream come true, was also gone. She had become neither human nor ghost, so she couldn't be blamed for being so lifeless before. If you talk for too long, or if you talk too much, your throat will hurt, right? I can't guarantee that you'll be able to sing in the future, or to what extent you'll be able to sing. But at the very least, I'll be able to make your speech not sound as unpleasant and strenuous as it is now. What Su Yiyen didn't say was that with her current situation, even if she was cured, her voice would definitely change. But for singing, this shouldn't be a big problem. After all, a smoker's voice was quite popular these days. She believed that as long as Leah Nam had the heart to continue singing, he would find the right path for his voice sooner or later. Of course, if she couldn't even accept this, then there was nothing she could do. Of course, if you think my promise is too vague, you can choose not to believe it. I believe you. As soon as Su Yiyen finished speaking, Leah Nam quickly spoke up. That pair of eyes that were originally as calm as a pool of stagnant water finally had a faint ripple because they saw hope, and there was also a bit of vitality that they didn't have before. Leah Nam reached out and touched his face. No matter what, it can't be worse than it is now. I'm willing to take a gamble. If you can do what you said just now, then you'll be my benefactor. For the next few decades, my life will be given to me by you. I'll do anything you ask of me. Ever since the fire happened, Leah Nam had thought of dying countless times. She used to be so dazzling. Her family was well off, her family was happy, her grades were excellent, and she had countless pursuers. Her biggest wish was to one day become as capable and famous as her aunt, a singer who was loved by countless people. For this goal, no matter how much pain she suffered, it would be happiness for her. Chapter 1005. In fact, she was rewarded for her efforts. Because of her singing, more and more people liked her, followed her, and supported her. She brought home trophies after trophies, which also announced that she was getting closer to her goal. But in the end, all of this was burned down because of a big fire. After the accident, Leah Nam went on a hunger strike, cut her wrists, and even tried to jump down from a tall building, but she was stopped. After many failed attempts to commit suicide, Leah Nam looked at her crying mother in despair, and her father who had aged a lot overnight, even his back was hunched. She suddenly realized that her parents had spent so much effort to pull her back from the gates of hell. They didn't want her to give up on herself so easily and die without knowing why. Since then, Leah Nam didn't try to commit suicide. Her body survived, but her soul died in the fire. But now, she suddenly realized that maybe her soul didn't die, but was sealed in a corner of her body, waiting for someone to save it and wake it up. If Su Yiyan could really do what she said just now and let her sing again. Even if she couldn't return to the stage because of her injuries, she would treat her as her second parent and do everything she could for her. Su Yiyan heard her words and couldn't help but laugh. Why would I want your life? Your life was given to you by your parents, whether it was in the past or now. The reason why I'm willing to help you is because I want to give Auntie Song some face, and also because you look a little pitiful. To be honest, my man's life was almost ruined because of an accident. Looking at you makes me feel a little sympathetic. Su Yiyan sighed. Sigh, I can't help it. Whenever I encounter something related to him, my heart softens easily. Leah Nam. Did she just eat a mouthful of dog food without warning? Pfft. Leah Nam was silent for a moment, and then she revealed a rare smile. But because of the injuries on her face, this smile looked more or less scary. However, Su Yiyan could still feel that the person in front of him, who had been tense ever since he'd entered the room, had relaxed a little at this moment. In the past 2 to 3 years, although Leah Nam did not come into contact with many people, he was very sensitive to the emotions and gazes of the people around him because of his physical condition. Especially the doctors who were hired by her parents to treat her. They looked at her with pity, sympathy, and pity. 1 or 2 of them even thought that they hid the disgust in their eyes well. In their eyes, he was a porcelain doll that they could not do anything to and could not afford to offend. He might break with a touch, and if he broke, they would not be able to pay for it. Therefore, be it sympathy or disgust, most of these people treated her very carefully. No one was like Su Yiyan. There was no fear or disgust in her eyes when she looked at him. It was as if she was just an ordinary patient who needed treatment and did not need any special treatment. Even if there was a little bit of sympathy, he would be frank and honest. There was no need to beat around the bush, for fear that a wrong choice of words would stimulate her sensitive nerves. She had not experienced this kind of feeling in a long time. Su Yiyan did not know that her straightforward words made the person in front of her lower her guard a little. She touched her chin and pondered for a moment, then clapped her hands and said, "How about this? If you really want to repay me, when you get better, if you still want to continue singing, you can join my company." Chapter 1006. As soon as Su Yiyan said this, the room fell silent. The 2 of them stared at each other for a long time. Su Yiyan mistakenly thought that the other party was unwilling and realized that her words were a bit abrupt. She took the initiative to save face and said, "It's okay if you don't want to. A singer like you is probably not suitable for a management company like ours. I was wrong. Please don't take it to heart." Leah Nam shook his head. "I'm not unwilling. I just suddenly remembered that Chirui mentioned you to me before. He said that you often like to sign patients or their family members into the company. Your hobby is a bit special." Su Yiyan. What do you mean by I like to sign patients or their family members into the company? Clearly, you people have a favor to ask of me, so I took advantage of the situation and signed people. How did it become my fault in the end? I didn't do it. Don't talk nonsense. You come to me for free food and drink and dare to spread rumors about me behind my back. I think you have too little work and too much free time. Ning Chirue, who had no idea that he had been sold, was squatting miserably in a remote ravine, feeding mosquitoes while reminiscing about the barbecue that he had cheated his boss into bringing home. His saliva was almost dripping out of his mouth. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind blew. Ning Chiroe felt cold all over and shivered. Why was the valley so cold at night? If he had known earlier, he would have brought more thick clothes. It was too difficult for him. Su Yiyen and Lian Nam did not stay in the house for long. It was less than half an hour, but the people waiting outside felt like a lifetime. When the two finally came out of the house, Grandpa Li and Grandma Li rushed over immediately and surrounded their granddaughter with concern. "How are you? And Nan, are you okay? What can happen to her?" Su Yiyen laughed. "I just went in to take a look. Do you think I'll eat her up?" The two elders looked embarrassed, but they could not help but be curious. "Miss Su and Nan, the scars can be removed and the throat can be treated, but I can't do anything about the keloids on her face. I can only do surgery." The two were excited when they heard the first half of Su Yiyen's words, but they were a little embarrassed when they heard the second half. I'm willing to operate." Grandpa Li was stunned for a moment before he realized what his granddaughter had said. He was so excited that he held his granddaughter's hand tightly and said, Okay. As long as you are willing, Grandpa will ask your parents to find you the best plastic surgeon when we go back." "Yes." Su Yiyen still needed to consider the ointment to remove scars and the prescription to treat her throat. It was impossible to produce them right away. In addition, for Lian Nam's throat to recover, he would need acupuncture for a period of time as an auxiliary treatment. Su Yiyen confirmed the time of the first treatment with them, and they did not continue to disturb him. After thanking him, they prepared to leave. Su Yiyen sent them out with the child in her arms. When they parted, she suddenly stopped Xia Ningxi and asked with a smile, "Chiroe said that you don't have a good appetite before, so he specially ordered a barbecue and a beggar's chicken from my restaurant. I don't know if they suit your taste. How's your appetite lately?" Xia Ningxi was stunned. Only then did she realize that her boyfriend was an artist of Su Yiyen's company. They knew each other and were very close. "Did he ask you for the barbecue and the beggar's chicken?" "He also said that I don't have a good appetite." "Yes, he said that you don't have a good appetite and everything you eat is not delicious. He was very worried about you, so he specially came to me to ask for these two. I saw that he cared about you so much, and it was not a big deal anyway, so I agreed." Chapter 1007. The expression on Xia Ningxi's face suddenly froze, and it took a while for her to find her voice. "So, he already knew that you were the host." "Probably. Even if he didn't notice it before, after the barbecue last time, he took the initiative to ask her for food. No matter how slow he was, he should have noticed it." Su Yiyen did not dwell on this topic. He looked up and asked Xia Ningxi, "Didn't he tell you?" "Tell her what?" "Tell her that he knew that her boss was the host, and that she had always admired the host and wanted to meet her. But for so long, he had never thought of telling her the identity of the host. Or tell her that this bastard used her name to swindle and deceive her. After he was done, he even lied to her that he had spent a lot of effort to buy those things from the host's store to share with her, and that she was so touched that she didn't want it anymore. When she thought of someone who knew the truth but chose not to say it, deliberately watching her make a fool of herself, Xia Ningxi was so angry that she wanted to grind her teeth on the spot. Su Yiyen saw that she didn't say anything. He frowned slightly and said, "Oh, I forgot. You knew it from Missen. So, he didn't tell you." "Maybe, he forgot." How could he forget such an important thing? Xia Ningxi only felt that her little heart had been stabbed with a knife. Su Yiyen seemed to be unaware and continued, "Speaking of this, Chiroe is now the backbone of our company. You are his girlfriend." Strictly speaking, you are also an employee's family member, so you can enjoy employee benefits. If you just want to jump the queue and get a number, you don't have to enter the company. If Xia Ningxi had heard Su Yiyan's words half an hour ago, she would have been so happy that she would have jumped on the spot. In Xia Ningxi's ears, these words were tantamount to adding fuel to the fire, and the fire in Xia Ningxi's heart was ignited. This big liar full of lies, you are dead. Achoo! The evening wind in the mountains was always cool, but it also brought with it a creepy whimper. Ning Qiruo hugged his chest with his hands and couldn't help but shiver. It's over. This gully is so cold when it gets dark. If I stay here all night, I'm afraid I will catch a cold tomorrow. At the thought of this, Ning Qiruo's face fell. So, why was he so stubborn? Why did he give up his comfortable life and come to this remote place to suffer? Not to mention that Ning Qiruo, who was experiencing a tragedy, did not know that there was an even more terrible tragedy waiting for him 2 days later. Su Yiyan was in a good mood after successfully swindling the guy who spoke ill of her behind her back. She hugged her soft little son and kissed him a few times, making the little guy giggle. When Hu Qinhuan returned home and saw this scene, her originally flat lips couldn't help but curl up a little. She slowly walked behind the two of them and hugged them. Su Yiyan was startled. He turned to look at him and said with a faint smile, "You're back." Hu Qinhuan responded in a low voice and leaned over to kiss Su Yiyan's forehead naturally. The baby in Su Yiyan's arms looked at this scene with his big eyes. Suddenly, he raised his hand and cried out, trying to attract the attention of his parents. Sure enough, as soon as Su Yiyan heard his cry, she immediately looked down and chuckled. "Baby, are you jealous because you saw Daddy kissing Mommy?" "Aw, woo woo woo." The little guy's little chubby hand clenched into a fist, shaking and waving, as if agreeing with his mother's words. Chapter 1008. A smile flashed across Su Yiyan's eyes. Then, he handed the chubby baby in his hand to Hu Qinhuan, indicating that he should quickly kiss the child and let him feel a certain someone's strong fatherly love. Hu Qinhuan saw through Su Yiyan's little thoughts at a glance. Although he looked helpless, he still followed Su Yiyan's instructions and lowered his head to kiss the little guy. The little guy was stunned for a moment after being kissed. He raised his hand and slapped Hu Qinhuan's face. Although it was called a slap, the child's strength was only that much. When the slap landed on Hu Qinhuan's face, it didn't hurt or itch. It was more like a slap. Hu Qinhuan, on the other hand, was stunned by this small amount of strength. He looked at the audacious brat in surprise. Ha 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 ha. Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh when he saw this scene. He hugged his little son and rubbed against him. In a low voice, he lectured, "Baby, you can't hit Daddy. If you continue like this, Daddy will get angry. Mommy will also get angry." As Su Yiyan spoke, he deliberately lowered his face to scare the little guy. The little guy rolled his big eyes, as if he had sensed Su Yiyan's emotions. He quickly reached out his little chubby hand to support Su Yiyan's face and wiped the saliva off her face. Su Yiyan really didn't expect his son to be so skilled at kissing and acting like a spoiled child at such a young age. He was defeated on the spot. He hugged the baby and kissed him fiercely. When Hu Qinhuan saw this, he frowned with some jealousy. He leaned over and wanted to kiss Su Yiyan to show off his strength to this little guy who dared to compete with him for favor. Unexpectedly, just as he leaned over, the little chubby hand came as expected and slapped him in the face. It was a little strength, but it was incomparably firm and pushed him away. The two adults were stunned by the little guy's sudden slap. After a long time, they burst into laughter. "Baby, do you not want Daddy to kiss Mommy?" "But Mommy belongs to Daddy. Daddy has the right to kiss Mommy." What should we do? Compared to Su Yiyen's good-natured teasing, Hu Chenhuan was much more direct. He directly reached out and poked the little fellow's head, and said in an especially cold and merciless manner, "Little bastard, if you want a wife when you grow up, go and find one yourself. You want to compete with me? You're still a dozen years too early." As soon as Hu Chenhuan's words came out, not only the little fellow, but even Su Yiyen, the person who was being fought over, was stunned. A few seconds later, the little guy seemed to have understood the provocation from his own father. His little mouth twitched, and he used his greatest trump card and burst into tears. His cries were so loud that his face turned red. His cries reached every corner of the building, causing Uncle Zhang and the others downstairs to run over to see what was going on. After learning the ins and outs of the matter, everyone unanimously cast condemning gazes at Hu Chenhuan. Hu Chenhuan, who inexplicably felt that he was being isolated. This little bastard was indeed born to be his nemesis. Once the little fellow started crying, no one could coax him. In the end, he was tired from crying and fell asleep in Su Yiyen's arms, feeling wronged, and was carried away by the nanny. Before leaving, the nanny even looked at Hu Chenhuan with a particularly rebellious and condemning gaze. Hu Chenhuan, who felt that he had taken the blame, as soon as the little fellow left, Su Yiyen finally focused his attention back on Hu Chenhuan. He said in annoyance and amusement, "You're really too much. Why are you being so serious with a child? You've made him cry." Hu Chenhuan was already full of pent-up anger. When he heard Su Yiyen's words, he snorted in disdain. However, he didn't let go of Su Yiyen's hands, and instead tightened his grip. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.